The movie starts with Avery Hansen White, the most perfect student you can ever meet, going to her school. Avery prioritizes activities she loves, steering clear of pursuits that don't contribute to her accolades or achievements. She is the present winner of the STEM competition, and she is pumped to win the upcoming one. Securing early admission to MIT, Avery stands out as the school's shining star and a popular topic in town. Despite that, Avery avoids every social activity. Events like prom fail to stir any interest in her. She deems them unnecessary and believes they shouldn't even take place. All the teachers adore her, except for one who teaches sex education. However, Avery remains indifferent to that particular teacher since she doesn't find that course relevant to her needs. She enters the class and switches on her laptop to check the next STEM-com task. For the next competition, they are asked to create an app that could help them solve one of their problems. The teachers and other students feel that it could be very easy for her, but she has a deep problem that they don't understand. She meets her friend Larson, and she tells him about the competition. He asks her the question that she's so worried about, which is the fact that she has to start by finding a problem before solving it with an app. Avery is a perfectionist. She's perfect in all aspects of her life, and there's nothing she's lacking in. She doesn't have a problem that she needs to build an app to solve, and that is her major hindrance. Larson is her childhood friend, and they grew up together. As Avery engages in various competitions and experiments, he serves as her source of experiment. Until their first year in school, she utilizes him for all tasks. But when he tries to escalate things by kissing her, she reacted by striking him. At that moment, they decided to be just friends. As of now, Larson has a crush on their school whom he wishes to be with, and Avery also has a boyfriend, Casper, whom she met during the last STEM-com, and they hope to meet again during the next competition. While strolling alongside Avery, Larson inquires whether she plans to attend the upcoming prom with Casper. She reminds him that prom isn't a priority for her, and she has no interest in going. He reminds her of how she avoids the things she isn't good at, and how she has to try to be a great student in every aspect. It's their final high school year, and despite the valuable experience, she declines and leaves. She gets home and starts thinking of the problem in her life that she needs to solve with an app. At that moment, Avery receives a video call from Casper, and they excitedly talk about their plans for the next STEM-com. He takes the conversation further by reminding her that they have been dating for almost a year, and he is down to make out with her. The thought of intimacy makes Avery feel uncomfortable. She pretends as if the network has stopped, and she switches off the laptop with her feet. That is when she realizes the only problem she has in her life is intercourse. The thoughts of it fear her, as she was raised in a progressive home, and she has 3 mothers. Sue's a lesbian, Deb, an artist who specializes in drawing clitorises, and Kim, who is in a relationship with Deb only. Lacking any male presence in the family, Avery barely has anyone she could take advice from in such a situation. She decides to create an app that helps solve her problem with intimacy and use the app to help her with intimacy with Casper during the competition. She walks around the house thinking of how best to build the app, and Suze immediately figures her out. Susie advises her that since she is new to the entire process, she should understand that intimacy isn't a thing to be perfect about, further justifying she has to be ready to mess up. Avery attempts to collect information online to support her studies, but her efforts prove futile as she doesn't find substantial content on the internet. She starts reading books, but she barely gets any knowledge from them. She also asks their sex education teacher for help, but she barely has anything to help Avery with. As time goes on, Avery starts ignoring Casper's calls and texts because of her fear. Susie also notices this and offers her the 50 Shades of Grey book so she can read and understand more. And she also asks her to interview her colleagues at school for more information. Avery hopes to learn more from the dance team or gym enthusiasts, but finds they're either celibate or uninterested in discussing that part of their lives. However, she learns a girl named Danica might be able to help. Avery immediately looks for Danica, who teaches her how to pleasure herself by inserting things into her private area. Danica suggests finding a partner to assist in her practice. Speaking of partners, Larson is the first person on her list, and she immediately looks for him. Larson is embarrassed as she has started the conversation in front of everyone, so he drags her out and asks her what she is up to. She narrates to him that she is going to meet Casper in his hotel room during the STEM comm, and he wants to get intimate with her, so she is trying to learn beforehand. Since he has been her experiment partner for years, he is her best choice. Initially, he declines, pointing out that she had confined him to the realm of friendship since they were 14. To convince him, Avery removes her top and shows her chest. Left with no choice, Larson decides to work with her and they meet later. They start by kissing, and when it gets awkward, Larson goes to turn on some music to create a better atmosphere. They go to tonguing fondling, and she asks him to grab her chest and go under her shirt. That is when Avery feels a sexual sensation for the first time. Just when Larson is about to take things further, Avery recovers and walks away. Avery wonders why that experiment feels weird when she has done other experiments with him, and it is just science. She gets home, and her next task is a blowjob. She inquires about it from various sources, and upon discovering additional details regarding the size and other aspects, this topic becomes her primary focus. So she returns to Larson, and she asks to go down on him. Larson agrees, and she begins her hands-on experience. The scene then depicts Larson in a spacecraft, while Avery tries her best to pump the right amount of pressure on him. Moments later, the spacecraft successfully takes off, and Larson screams in pleasure. Afterward, Larson asks to return the favor, but Avery refuses, and she walks away. The competition gets nearer, and Avery needs to get better, so she consults Danica again. Danica asks her what she feels about using a vibrator, but she dismisses the idea. Danica then suggests that she touch herself with coconut oil, and while she's getting into the mood, she is startled by a call from Casper asking about her presentation for STEMCom. She then continues her experiment in the bathroom and enjoys pleasuring herself. But the water suddenly becomes too hot, and she has to stop to apply cold pressure in between her legs. She tries to feel better by calling Larson and begging him to turn her on. After several attempts, Larson is unable to turn her on over the phone, so they change the topic and start talking about the periodic table, and that seems to work, but gets ruined by the thought of winning the competition. At school the following day, Avery wants to learn about reaching the G-spot. She speaks to her colleagues about it, and one of her classmates touches herself to reach climax. She meets Larson later and invites him for another meeting so she can practice getting an orgasm. She imagines herself as a narrow tunnel, while Larson is a digger. Larson starts exploring the tunnel while touching the walls occasionally. She directs him and finally reaches the correct spot. This brings them to the swimming pool, and Avery seems to be very satisfied. This is when she plans to name her app Sex Appeal. Avery asks about his first intercourse, but he informs her that he hasn't done it before, and he's reserving for the right person. They start making out, and he tries to go down on her, but she refuses. He insists love and sex are interrelated, but she claims it isn't. Larson attempts to invite Avery to a science museum, but she refuses. He questions if their relationship could get any closer after doing so many things together, but her answer disappoints him, so he leaves. During Casper's presentation at her competition, Avery can't help but think about Larson, yet she convinces herself that it's not love. Later at night, she goes to have intercourse with Casper using her newly developed app. However, she doesn't seem to enjoy it like how she did with Larson. She leaves the room, and the following day, during her presentation, she announces that she is withdrawing her presentation. Casper wins the competition, and she goes to complain to Larson at home about how her app didn't work. Larson is still upset about Avery giving false hope to him throughout the years. He states that Avery never really cared about him, and he is glad to not have to sleep with her. Dejected, Avery goes through the interviews she had conducted previously and starts realizing Larson was right about how love and sex are interrelated. Moments later, Kim advises her that she should be honest about her feelings for Larson. She does, by the way. She reacts, embarrasses him during his music practice, so he escorts her out. Avery confesses her feelings and begs him to go to prom with her, but he declines, stating that he has moved on. Depressed, she cries outside, and she meets her teacher, who teaches her a life lesson. Later, she meets his crush, Lisa, who thought Larson was dating her. Wanting the best for him, Avery corrects Lisa and asks her to go prom with him, which she accepts. During the prom, Avery watches Larson and Lisa from a distance and admits that feelings can't be forced, and she's happy for Larson. She dances alone at the prom as the movie ends. Subscribe to watch more videos like this, leave a like to help the channel out. Also leave a comment if you'd like us to recap your favorite movie. Thanks for watching.